Welcome to True Astrology podcast. My name is Nicole,
And I'm Dave.
and we're going to talk about the last axis in astrology, which is Virgo and Pisces.
That's right. And this axis is called the reality axis. So here's a quick description on what this axis is all about. It's about practicality versus spirituality, precision versus surrender. The Virgo and Pisces axis encourages us to bridge the gap between earthly service and divine connection. Virgo, ruled by Mercury, values organization, self-improvement, and the details of daily life, resonating with the Hermit's card of introspection and mastery. Pisces, on the other hand, is ruled by Jupiter and Neptune, and it embodies compassion, intuition, and a deep connection to the collective unconscious, mirroring the moon card's ethereal and imaginative energy. And in this episode, we dive into how these cycles shaped our understanding of service, healing, and the balance between practicality and transcendence.
So let's talk about the Virgo first. So Virgo is our sixth house in astrology. Talks about the everyday, our daily routine. Also, it talks about our health. But not just health, it can be financial health, our physical health, or our mental health. And it's because of the ruler Mercury is really active in that area. Let's quickly discuss about the Mercury in Gemini and Mercury in Virgo. They're totally different energy.
Yeah, that's right. So when Mercury is in Gemini, it's all about making choices. And since Gemini is a masculine sign, it's also an air sign. It's all about the intellect and communication and going out and making new discoveries. It's about
That's a desire to know something.
and exchanging ideas and going out to enhance your skills, your knowledge, and basically bringing in new information. If you remember previously when we talked about Gemini, it was really about having a really wide spectrum of information or choices and using your curiosity to go out there and really explore all the options that are out there in the world. And so when we compare that with the Virgo side of Mercury, it's all about taking all that information and then using discernment and wisdom and the meticulous skills to pick and choose what really adds value and curating the right pieces of information and experience that work for your life.
Exactly. So when the Mercury is in the own home sign in Virgo, it brings really kind of sage types of energy. So that's why in tarot, the number 9 card, the Hermit, depicted with that image. So previous episode when we talked about the Leo and Aquarius axis, and I talked about in ancient Egyptian astrology, the people thought the Leo and the Virgo constellations are connected, which they are, but now we have a separate rulership. So that's why the Virgo is more showing up in the previous sign in the Leo card with a strength, because there's a Leo and there's a lady with a white gown is showing up. And in the Hermit card, it actually shows the more like a discernment, guidance, and solitude, refinement, and reflection types of energy. And this is the area for the service. So that's why Virgo heavy peoples are in service industry.
Yes, or freelance or self-employed.
Exactly, because it governs every day.
Yeah.
And people who had a strong Virgo energy, they need a routine. They have to create something that works for them.
Yeah.
And then when some a malefic signs are in sixth house or Virgo house, then it creates some kind of a health issue. And it's really interesting that the Virgo actually rules the 7 chakra system in our body. And when you actually see the Virgo constellation, it actually shows the entire human body. And Earth orbital cycle actually goes through the head to toe trajectory to the Virgo constellation.
Yeah, Virgo the Virgin in the constellation is on its side, on her side.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So our Earth
Yeah.
is going through the head
Yes.
to toe.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. So it rules our seven chakra system, it rules our bowel movement and all our health.
Yeah, because Virgo rules our digestive system. And one interesting thing that I learned about our digestive system is that our intestines are actually outside of our body. Even though it's internal, because of the walls of the intestine
Or the
protect, yeah,
lining.
the
Yeah.
lining, it actually protects anything that goes into our bloodstream. So technically, even though it's inside, it's actually outside
Outside.
of our bloodstream.
It's interesting.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
very interesting. So basically, the digestive system is really meant to only absorb what it needs. So it has to discern what is good for our body and what's not good for our body. And then whatever is not good for it, it literally pushes it down and then excretes it, right? And then that's Scorpio's job to release all of that, all the toxins that entered our mouth.
And also in medical astrology, when you have a moon in the sixth house or moon in the Virgo house, the person has some kind of a health issue, which I have it. So I noticed that I have some kind of like a heavy water issue, like my blood flow is not that good, or like I have a lymph node issue. So that is caused by, I guess, in the Virgo's house. And another interesting about Virgo is it rules doctors and nurses. It's a service oriented,
Yeah.
right? Because they are like literally their work is based on the for the humanity, people, health.
Yeah, they're all the healthcare workers and any service provider in our society. So, like accountants, for example, are also ruled by Virgo, and they have to be very meticulous with numbers and data analysis. So, you could see that Virgo, even though it's on the health axis, it really does represent a wide spectrum of professions.
And also, yeah, like the other side, which is a Pisces, ruled hospital, right? So the doctors ruled by Virgo, so doctors goes to hospital to work,
yeah.
and in between world,
Yeah.
like because a lot of people have a like death and birth experience in the hospital
Yeah.
as well. And Virgo gives a lot of service, so that's why social workers or early childhood teachers or educator, they have a heavy Virgo energy. So I think a lot of alternative health practitioner, like such as like Reiki or acupuncture, those people are really driven by Virgoian energy as well. And the Virgo is the gateway go into the above the horizon, meaning starting from the Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo is the lower side of the zodiac.
Yeah.
And the above that, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces is more like a world stage. So Virgo is the literally the right before you going into the bigger world.
That's right, because below the horizons, the first six houses are about personal development. And then the latter six houses from 7 to 12 is all about taking all the skills and lessons you've learned and then testing it on the world stage.
Exactly. So imagine, take the Hermit card image. You are actually thinking about what kind of study or major you want to take when you go to university. Because like combining everything you learned from the beginning when you were young in your local neighborhood throughout the high school. And then now you're like bringing all the energy and experience to find out what really works for you right before go to university, thinking that Libra is the place for meeting people to the bigger society, aka going into the university. That even though the university is governed by ninth house of Sagittarius, but where you meet people is Libra. So you're going into the bigger stage, but you have to know who you are. That's why the Hermit is asking you to just go quiet and you don't have to even talk about or asking around who am I, what should I do, or like tainting your all the judgment or truth by other people's opinion. You just have to be alone. You have to be really find out your own happiness. That is the Hermit card. So that's why when this is a little bit negatively affected and people wanted to away from the society, they wanted to isolation, they wanna just be alone, which means they wanna be go the other side of the Virgo, which is the Pisces, because of Pisces also rules isolation and in between world and loneliness and sadness.
And not only does it represent hospitals, but also, you mentioned isolation. So like being on an island or going like to like a spiritual retreat or going out into the wilderness or camping and also prisons and jail, right? That's also 12th house because you're away from society. You're actually taken out of society, right? And into isolation. So you can see that the 12th house also has a spectrum from positive to negative of being taken out of society where you can rest and reflect before you are allowed to go back into society, which is the 6th house.
Exactly. And also Virgo placements makes the excellent workers because one of the minor arcana card, I would just say Eight of Pentacles, makes the Virgo's highest expression. It creates like a really detail oriented work. And I usually pictures about like a bakers or people who create art and people who teaches community or make beautiful art and craft.
Yeah, so it's like carpenters fall under that domain, and it's basically the artisan.
Exactly, the
Yeah.
artisan. And because of Virgo represent everyday people, not like a Leo. Leo represents more like a Hollywood
The
stars,
performer.
performers,
Yeah.
and kings and queens. But Virgo is representing everyday people who we see daily basis, like a bakers and people who does like cashier job,
Yeah.
driving bus, or just go to work 9 to 5, and dentist and things like that. But the interesting part about this energy is now Virgo energy is really energized by another big change, which is,
It's about Regulus. It's
yeah,
the royal star. And Regulus previously was in the sign of Leo, and recently it has moved into 0 degrees of Virgo. And Regulus, because it's a fixed star, it moves very, very slowly. So it's going to be in this 0 degree Virgo for the next 72 years. And if you've noticed, all of the celebrities on social media, they all fall under the Virgo archetype. It's the everyday person. All of a sudden is getting a lot of attention. Whereas in the past, everyone looked up towards Hollywood stars or famous singers, famous actors. So the gap between the everyday person and these celebrities was so huge. Whereas now, I feel like the energy has shifted towards Virgo, where now celebrities are coming down from the pedestal and they're collaborating with the everyday person. So when you become a TikTok star, all of a sudden, those stars are collaborating with Hollywood celebrities. Now, we've never had anything like that in the past. And one, I guess, ritual, right, that has happened recently was all of the California wildfires. Did you see the video of the Hollywood sign burning down?
oh my God, that
It was
was
on fire.
so symbolic.
Yeah, right? I was so shocked when I saw that. And even on The Simpsons, they were showing, Hollywood or LA burning down. And that's really an indication that this Hollywood energy or this Leo royalty or this Regulus and Leo energy is dying. And it's being replaced by not only the, smart cities and Aquarius archetype, which is Leo's opposite sign, but also it's a gateway for now the Regulus and Virgo people to step up and start really shining their light and their skills and what they can do to service the greater good of humanity.
I just want to give a little more context about this fixed sign, fixed star
Yeah.
or Regulus, and this is a part of the sixth fixed star, and there's a like a Algo and Taurus and Spica, Regulus and Sirius, and they're like a relatively moving really really slow
Yeah.
from our experience, they're like a fixed
Yeah.
in the sky. That's why we call it fixed star.
Yeah.
However, they are moving with precession of the equinox.
Yeah.
So they move 1 degree per 72 years.
Yeah.
And that is actually same speed as a precession of the equinox.
Mm-hmm.
And we're recently going into or heading into, or we are already in, but there's so many debating about where we are in terms of age. But we are definitely in age of Aquarius
Yeah.
because of the change. The fixed star also shifted 1 degree as well. And it was later degree in Leo for the longest time. And finally, it actually changed the sign to 0 degree Virgo,
Mm-hmm.
I think around 2014-ish. And that is the first time we were seeing the influencer energy.
Yeah.
Because before that, it was always Hollywood stars, well-known name, celebrities only.
Yeah.
But because of the Instagram was like a popular at the time, and it brought a lot of the influencer level. Because before there's no influencer, there wasn't even like a word for it,
Yeah.
and people starting to become popular, and people who are literally like they're everyday people.
Exactly.
They're like my neighbor Bob was like teaching how to do things YouTube video, and then all of a sudden become really popular.
Yeah.
Or like remember Michelle Phan, and
Yeah.
she was really early in
She was
that.
one of the
Yeah,
pioneers.
very, very early, even before the regulars in Virgo. Anyway, a lot of people at the beginning of the social media era, they were the one who teach people how to do tutorial types
Yeah.
of video in YouTube channel, and they become really popular,
Yeah.
right? And at the beginning of this podcast, I was mentioning that Virgo is actually someone who's giving service and teaching
Yeah.
to the community,
Yeah.
right?
How to do things. Yeah.
So those people really got the highlighted at the very beginning of the
Yeah.
social media era. Plus, when the fixed sign Regulus turn sign into the 0 degree Virgo, because Regulus is the king and queen making star. So whoever has a 29 degree Leo in the previous era, a lot of astrologers would say, oh, this person will be really, really popular, really famous,
Yeah.
speaking into the world stage, maybe becoming a performer, right? It's very rare sign, 29 degree
Yeah.
Leo. Who has it in the like really famous
Well,
person?
Donald Trump has his ascendant at 29 degrees Leo.
Yeah, he's a very unique one.
Yeah. And he's really here to wrap up that Leo archetype. And when you really look at the impact that he's having on the world, he's really here just passing the baton
Yeah, exactly.
onto that Regulus in Virgo era.
Exactly. Traditionally, the king and queen making star was in the sign of the king of Leo. So you have to have a like a really big personality.
Yeah.
I am the queen.
Yeah.
I need a red carpet
Yeah.
to just walk on the aisle. Those personality was meant to become a star, but the Virgo is everyday people, right?
Yeah.
So now everyday peoples are having the influencing power and becoming influencer, and some influencers
Yeah.
are actually making more money than Hollywood stars, and Hollywood stars are actually waning.
Yeah.
The Hollywood film and the burning down of the Hollywood sign from the fire is all like a symbolical of the energy of the Leo, because we are in the age of Aquarius. So Aquarius types of energy is more strengthening, and the Leo is actually waning. We talk about it the
Yeah.
previous axis, right? So the going down of the Hollywood star energy is carrying that energy too.
And quite honestly, a lot of the people in my community don't really care about celebrities
Anymore.
And they're really focused on being of service to their local community and just being the best version of themselves that they can be. Whereas, when I was growing up, like in high school, it was all about the celebrities. But now when you look at what's going on in the news with the celebrities, it's just all litigation. They're attacking each other, or all these scandals are coming out. And really, people don't care anymore.
Exactly. Now people are more focusing on the, like a Regulus in Virgo energy.
Yeah.
and especially service provider, especially people who has craftsmanship, people who are providing and giving love and care for the society. That is really highlighting here right now. And but at the same time, we have a South Node is a transiting in sign of Virgo.
Yeah, that just recently transited in Virgo and Pisces axis.
South Node actually releasing out the energy of the sign wherever it goes. So like we can use this energy to use it really right. For example, there's a negative side of the Virgo or the Hermit, right? So we can release that out. So the negative side of the Virgo can be like controlling.
Or being overly critical.
And also Virgo makes excellent workers, especially number related or very detail oriented work.
Yeah.
So like a really good accountant or someone who's working in the like really, really fine art
Or watchmaking.
watchmaking and
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah.
But they're all great. But however, if you're like so fixed into your way or very critical, where you are only narrow focusing in the one area, it's not helping you to go into the bigger picture. And South Node will help you to release that out the negativity.
Yeah, and one analogy that I use to clearly illustrate the difference between Virgo and Pisces is that Virgo, think of it as the microscope. So you're looking at the fine, fine details, and the opposite end would be the telescope. So you're looking out into the vast universe and the sky and the stars. So in the context of Pisces, it would be the ocean, right? So you're really zooming in for Virgo, and then you're zooming out for Pisces. It's really about looking at the big picture, looking at spirituality, the things that are not visible, the things that are more on the ethereal or the spiritual realms. That's going to be really the focus. When Donald Trump was giving his speech during the election, it was all about the American dream, right? So the dream represents Pisces.
Yeah.
So it's all about focusing on that North Node. What is your dream? And coincidentally, we're going to be having Neptune moving into Aries and also Saturn moving into Aries.
Will create
And
the new journey,
yes,
new beginning.
that's right. And so they're both in Pisces right now. So that Pisces energy is very strong because we're going to have that North Node with Neptune, with Saturn, bringing all of those dreams into reality.
Because the Saturn is there to bound and grounding people.
Yeah.
So we can potentially make a dream to reality really easily.
Yeah.
And then one more thing I want to mention about Virgo is that Virgo peoples are the biggest dictator of the zodiac sign.
It's the most controlling sign.
Most controlling
And then the other
sign.
one I would say is Sagittarius.
But the how Virgo becoming the like dictator is creating their like workflow or like pushing their standard to other people and things like that.
Well, you have to first understand that Virgo is all about organization and putting information into containers. And so they want to control what goes into what category. And if you take that onto a negative perspective, yes, it's about control. Because if someone comes in and says, hey, that doesn't belong in that container, well, Virgo's going to say, well, I like it in this category. I like it in this container. And
Yeah.
that's where the control comes
Yeah,
from.
exactly. Because a Virgo continuously build structure, making boundaries so that at the end, because of their controlling energy, sometimes people become alone because of they are like built by their own structures.
Well,
So
yeah, it's hard to work with someone
yeah,
who
exactly.
has too much negative
So in,
Virgo.
in that time, then people need that Piscean energy because
Yeah.
Pisces removing the
Boundaries.
boundary. And if you don't have any boundary, you need a boundary, right? So
Yeah.
that you have to go into the Virgo side to create the boundary.
Yeah.
So the
They work together.
yeah, the axis work like that.
Yeah.
And also Virgo actually worries the most. I want to give you some like examples. So in traditionally Virgo people are who makes fermenting food or let's say fermenting some cheese or even alcohol.
Yeah.
So when you want to go into that process, you have to harvest, you have to purify all the grains and ingredients goes into that, and you have to sanitize it,
Yeah.
you have to wash it, and then you have to purify it.
Mm-hmm.
And each stage has danger to
Yeah.
spoilage,
Yeah.
right? So that's why Virgo constantly worry about
What if?
what if it goes bad?
Yeah.
What if it
Yeah.
goes like wrong, right?
Yeah.
So the constant worry is deeply rooted in Virgo sign. So sometimes it's really, really hard to work with the people who has a heavy Virgo energy in a negatively aspected because they're constantly worried. Nothing really makes them satisfied.
Yeah. And then they're extremely controlling.
Mm-hmm.
And then the more that they try to control, the more that goes wrong.
And also during the pandemic, I see people are literally wearing hazmat suits with a double, triple mask, and they're wearing
The
like
face shield.
yeah, gloves and everything. And I see negatively aspected Virgo.
And they're over sanitizing as well. But if you overly purify, it's no different than taking antibiotics and just completely wiping out all the good and the bad
Exactly.
gut bacteria. So again, it really has to have a balance where you're looking at the details, you're purifying, you're discerning, but then at the same time zooming out and looking at the big picture and seeing that there's also a spiritual side that you can't control. And in many cases, like things just end up working out.
Exactly. So more you want to control,
Yeah.
it will drive you crazy because of the ruler. Mercury is a mental sign. Germophobia is all like in Virgo domain
Yeah.
as well.
Another interesting thing too is when we look at the history of all the serial killers, a lot of serial killers are on that Virgo and Pisces axis because the Pisces side has no boundaries and they're not grounded. But at the same time, Virgo is very meticulous and they cover their own tracks that they don't get caught.
It's like a Dexter.
Yeah. It's
Right?
like, so Dexter would be a good representation. He's taking out criminals that where justice hasn't been served. And so he's the one that's actually discerning, who's allowed to stay on
And also
this
he
reality.
cleans
Yeah.
and wipes
Yeah.
every DNA
Yeah.
in his way very
Yeah.
meticulously.
Yeah.
And also Pisces' way of the killing people is just like a massacre. Like like a famous occult leader just killing everyone, including himself. That's the kind of energy.
Yeah. So they're the two extremes.
And another extreme part about this axis is that people makes most of money here too, because Virgo is the one of the Earth sign, and Earth sign has an interesting relationship because we have a Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. So Capricorn is the, let's say, a pimp. Using Virgo and Taurus to work. So Taurus are working 9 to 5 every day, just working, working, working. And Virgo just purifies and service. And Virgo and Taurus just works for generating more money for Capricorn.
Yeah, so Taurus doesn't like change. It likes consistent schedules, likes to work every day. It's very predictable. And then Virgo would be the middle management.
Yeah.
So it would basically oversee the process and would coordinate the workflow. And then Capricorn would be the boss that signs the check because the Capricorn is usually the one that has a 30-year vision and creates all of the structure of that business. And then once all of the departments are created, then the Capricorn hires the Virgos to manage each of those departments and then fills all of those frontline workers with the Tauruses that are just extremely hardworking, very dedicated to their work.
And one of the really funny social media video, what is about the Capricorn? I'm Capricorn. I'm looking for Taurus. That video was really funny.
Yeah.
Anyway, Virgo people works really, really hard a daily basis, and they're the entrepreneur next to Aries. Aries just starting new business. Virgo, they're self-employed.
But also workaholics.
Yeah, workaholics too. So they make really good money. And also Pisces, they just make money so much because of the ruler Neptune and Jupiter. It just expand and there's no boundary.
Yeah.
That's why a hospital or like a religion, church, they make so much money just getting donation.
And it's tax-free.
Exactly. So this axis makes so much money. And
Yeah.
I think because of the North Node transiting Pisces right now, we have a Saturn bounding as a grounding energy there as well. So I feel like we're gonna see a lot of rich people popping up during this transit. So let's talk about the Pisces.
So Pisces is represented by the moon card in the tarot. And when we look at the symbolism of the moon card, it's really about taking the middle path.
And moon card actually has some debates in the tarot and astrology community because some people believe that this is not the Pisces or moon card, it's representing something else. But like you can research about it. But let's go with the moon card representing the sign Pisces here.
So we have the sun and the moon together.
Yeah.
We have the wolf and the dog, and then we have the crawfish coming out of the water. And this card is very symbolic of duality, but also more specifically about our intuition and emotions. And because sometimes our intuition and emotion might be in conflict, it could be a very confusing time, a time of uncertainty, where you can't trust your intuition or your emotions. And so the lesson here, like I mentioned before, is to take that middle path and just trust that it will work out.
Yeah, and when I see this card, this is basically the two animals representing right brain and left brain, and the lobster looks like the vagus nerve. And the sun and moon, the person's face is representing the situation we're facing in. So when we starting to worry or reacting to the situation, or if we don't have any boundary, because Pisces actually brings the martyrdom and sadness and things like that.
And a feeling of not belonging to this
Yeah,
world.
that's sadness
Yeah.
basically. When you activating that energy,
Yeah.
like it put us into the fight or flight response. When we're in that stage, we can make a right judgment.
Yeah.
This is literally like a war types of energy, inner war, or like our brain just activating the surviving mode. When we're surviving mode, we can't really activating our hearts and the rational side of us. So everything is just like chaos,
Yeah.
right? So the surprisingly, Pisces representing chaos.
That's why you need the Virgo side
Yeah.
to have that discernment.
Exactly. So we mentioned that Virgo creates a boundary and Pisces removing the boundary. Imagine there's everything with a boundary, you removing that all of a sudden, what's gonna happen? Chaos, right?
In order to use the Pisces energy, you have to contain it in a container. So that's Virgo. But then if you keep the water trapped in that container, what happens? It also goes
Rotten.
bad. It molds, it rots. So then you have to let that water flow. So it's really an energy where you have to temporarily contain it, create those boundaries so that you can utilize it. And then when you've used it, you have to then release it back and then let it flow again. So if we think about money, a lot of the terms has Pisces related words.
I mean, yeah, water
So
related.
water related. So, currencies and banks, right? So banks are river banks. And there's a lot of these correlations between money and Pisces.
How Pisces make money is really interesting because of the one of the ruler Neptune rules petroleum, gas, ice, movie, advertising, something dream. You can actually make a money selling dreams.
Yeah.
So that's how you make a money through Neptunian. So the one example will be religion or American dreams, like back then.
It's fantasy as well
Oh, yeah.
and escapism. I was mentioning earlier that the moon card, when there's too much confusion or uncertainty, without that Virgo side, it's really hard to make a decision. So some people, they choose to take the route of escapism. So that could be represented by alcohol or by drugs or by even gaming. So those are all escaping from reality into that Neptunian or Piscean dreamlike state.
Pisces is a really positive energy as well, which is very compassionate. And Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. And already experienced everything, and now Piscean people just basically knows. So they're very intuitive, and they're like dreaming about, okay, so what my next life will looks like, what I can do next time. So they're like very dreamy, very artistic, very empathic. And also because of this talks about the ending and also at the same time new beginning. So immigration is also falling into this domain as well.
And also logistics. And just recently, Amazon decided to close down 3 of their warehouses in Quebec. So that also falls in the logistics domain.
Oh yeah, and also currently Saturn is visiting in sign of a Pisces. And when Saturn retrograde in Pisces and we have a water breakage issue, and interestingly, the place we're living in, this town, had a water dam breakage when Saturn was in Pisces 30 years ago. Because of Saturn creating some kind of gravity or
Yeah.
contracts the energy, but when it retrograde, it loses a little bit of power,
Yeah.
and then it, the structure break and the water just comes out.
And then they have
Yeah.
to then revisit that, restructure it, and repair it.
And Saturn just visiting here has more than that energy because in mythology, Saturn actually banished from the sign Pisces from the ruler Neptune and Jupiter because Saturn was a bad father for them because Neptune and the Jupiter is his son, but he's only allowed to visit two sons' house once 30 years because the 30 years is the orbital cycle. And during that time, the absence of the dad makes the two sons go a little bit crazy or delusional because of think about the two kids grow without fathers or parental
Without structure
Yeah.
or discipline.
so no discipline, so that kids accumulated so much of everything into the house. So imagine the hoarder's house. So the hoarder energy, hoarding things energy also is in the Piscean domain as well.
Yeah, but then you have to add a little bit of Scorpio and Taurus to that as well. Because Scorpio and Taurus are holding energies, whereas Pisces is a releasing energy. So if you keep on accumulating without any structure,
Yeah.
then definitely there is the tendency to hoard.
Exactly, because like a Pisces sign is supposed to letting go,
Yeah.
but when people are not
Letting
ready
go.
to letting go, they tend to hold,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And that's why the hoarding energy or eating disorder, like you eat too much, and that's literally like Piscean energy. And one thing I just like remind me of is Dr. Now.
Yeah.
He's the doctor who help like people overweight going into the weight loss surgery. But first, those people have to go into the diet and exercise and fixing their daily life first in order to have a healthier surgery can maintain their life. So doctor now is basically Saturn coming into the patient. Now you cannot eat this anymore. Now you have to exercise. Now you have to do something about it. So giving them structure
Yeah.
and like, creating boundaries.
And with people that have Pisces rising, so Pisces in the first house, when negatively aspected, can have no boundaries with the physical body. So they could either be super tall, they might be prone to weight gain. And you see some of the extremes on television, right? So you can see that there's definitely a Piscean element to their chart. Yeah.
Either Jupiter or Neptune
is in a-
creates like expansion energy.
Yeah, exactly. So with Jupiter and Neptune in the first house,
Yeah.
it's like having Pisces rising as
Yeah,
well.
I saw like someone who has a humongous hand
Yeah.
or like a fit
Yeah.
or someone who has a really large chest, long leg.
Yeah.
So that extreme of no boundary energy
Yeah.
can be created by that signs as well.
Yeah, because Jupiter expands everything and Neptune has no boundaries. So
Or some Pisces rising people, oh my God, they look dreamy because it rules the dream and
yeah,
fantasy.
Yeah.
So they're so beautiful.
Yeah. So like Neptune in the first house,
Oh
people look
wow,
at
yeah.
them
It's just like wow.
as, yeah, wow.
Hmm.
And obviously, you have to look at it holistically as well and see what kind of aspects and combination of planets and
Hmm.
signs that someone has.
And I mentioned that I see a lot of service provider, including doctors and nurses and teachers in Virgo sign. I see a lot of artists and religion related people. They're all in Pisces domain. I see over again.
We talked about the moon card and how that is represented by Pisces. So let's introduce the ruler of Pisces, which is Neptune. And Neptune corresponds with the hanged man. And when you look at the hanged man, it looks like, oh, he's upside down, he's got his leg crossed, and he's got this halo of enlightenment around his head, and he just looks calm and peaceful. So this to me looks like he's doing a meditation. He's calm. He's seeing the world upside down, right? So when you look at it from the negative perspective, it's like people who has the strong Neptunian or Piscean energy don't look at things from the same perspective as Virgo. So it's like the opposite. So it's more through a spiritual lens. And a lot of people have said, yeah, I don't feel like I belong in this world because the 3D is too limiting for me, right? So some people who are very, very spiritual see things from that perspective that the everyday person doesn't understand. Because the everyday Virgo person, for example, would see things from a very grounded approach, from a very 3D approach, whereas someone who is very spiritual will see things more from the God perspective and see things all as unity and being one and being all connected through spirituality, through religion.
And the other ruler is the Jupiter, and Jupiter in tarot is number 10 card, Wheel of Fortune. So Jupiter brings the luck and expansion, and also every tarot reader or people who loves tarot, we love this card. Every time we see this card, it's bringing the change and talk about a little bit about destiny and luck and expansion and fortune and optimism, you name it, right? And also Jupiter has a nickname, which is the king of the gods,
Yeah.
because Jupiter is actually son of the Saturn and was the survivor of the Saturn's children eating habit, I would say, and then was the one rescuing all the brothers and sisters from death, poisoning father, right? So the poisoning part is representing from the Neptune, because the Neptune actually representing pharmaceutical drugs and poisons and chemicals. And Jupiter is all just expanding and rescuing and helping and teachers energy. So Pisces has a lot of a mixed energy as well as being last sign of the zodiac. And I am actually really excited about this North Nodes visiting this sign because it's only happening every 19 years. And at the same time, Saturn being there, it happens every 30 years and creating some kind of structure, bringing the dream into the reality. Like, it couldn't be better. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. And simply put, the next 18 months would be the perfect time to really visualize what dream you want to manifest into this world. Write it down, create your mood boards. You might even be getting some dreams, some prophetic dreams, right? But this is really a time where you can manifest your best life. So this is that window where you can walk away from things that have no longer been serving you and then just focus on the direction that you need to go.
And don't forget, the axis name is the reality axis. We can create the reality that we dream of because Pisces believing in something. And when we believing in something, connecting to our heart, and then we can create the reality. That's how quantum energy works, right? So hopefully we can create something amazing during this time. And I hope you guys really enjoyed our Axis series. And if you guys have any question, please let us know. We're gonna continuously talk about all the axes and also this nodal transit in Pisces and Virgo because of this is really hot topic right now. And we're gonna move on to cryptocurrency and the age of Aquarius and more details on astrology moving on. And thank you so much for listening our podcast. And we will come back with a better series. And bye for
Bye
now.
for now.